Subscribe now if you value serious, research-driven history that treats the ancient world as a laboratory of hard-earned human ingenuity rather than myth. Today, we're examining one of the most underappreciated survival achievements in the Americas, the rise of Caral and the Norte Chico civilization along the hyper-arid coast of present-day Peru around 3000 BCE. This wasn't a marginal settlement clinging to survival. It was a network of planned cities with pyramids, sunken plazas and organized agriculture, built in one of the driest deserts on Earth. If you're interested in resilience, resource management and long-term survival in hostile climates, Caral is not just an archaeological curiosity. It's a masterclass. The desert coast of Peru was one of the least forgiving environments on the planet. The Peruvian coastal desert receives almost no rainfall. Some areas average less than a few millimeters per year. Yet this coastline is crossed by seasonal rivers fed by Andean snowmelt. Caral and its sister sites were strategically positioned along these river valleys, not randomly placed. The civilization understood hydrology in practical terms. They built where glacial runoff could be redirected, stored and distributed. For modern survivalists, the lesson is simple but profound. Aridity does not equal lifelessness. It demands precision. If you were assessing a desert environment today, you would first identify seasonal water corridors, ephemeral streams, flood channels, snowmelt patterns. Caral's planners did exactly that. They did not try to conquer the desert broadly. They exploited narrow, reliable arteries of life. Caral's inhabitants developed irrigation canals that diverted river water onto agricultural fields. Archaeological evidence shows large-scale cultivation of cotton, squash, beans, guava, and possibly maize in later phases. Cotton, in particular, was not a luxury crop. It was strategic. It allowed the production of fishing nets, which tied the inland cities to maritime protein sources. The canals were gravity-fed. No advanced metallurgy, no draft animals, just slope calculation, labour coordination and maintenance, really. The key survival insight here is system building over improvisation. A single well might keep a family alive, but a canal network sustains a city for centuries. If you were applying this principle today in a dry environment, you would map elevation carefully and design low-tech water diversion systems that rely on gravity rather than pumps. Even small-scale earthworks, shallow swales, check dams, diversion channels, mirror what Caral achieved at scale. The emphasis is not on heroic daily effort, but on infrastructure that reduces daily strain. You know. One of the most important discoveries about Caral is, well, the extent of its trade with coastal fishing communities. Remains of anchovies and sardines have been found inland. Cotton grown in Caral was exchanged for fish and shellfish. This diversified food base reduced dependence on a single ecological system. In survival terms, this is redundancy. Desert agriculture is, vulnerable to climate variation, especially El Niño events that can disrupt river flows. By tying their economy to maritime productivity, Caral created a buffer against crop failure. If you're building resilience today, you apply this by avoiding monoculture thinking. Even on a small homestead, combining gardening with fishing, small livestock or trade relationships spreads risk. Caral shows that long-term survival in marginal zones requires networks, not isolation. Caral's pyramidal structures and sunken circular plazas were not decorative excess. They reflect organized labor, leadership structures, and collective planning. In harsh environments, social cohesion is not optional. It is infrastructure. Large construction projects require food surpluses, labor scheduling, and conflict management. That Caral sustained such efforts over centuries indicates a stable social system capable of distributing resources and maintaining order. For modern preparedness communities, the takeaway is, well, uncomfortable but necessary. Skill and supplies are insufficient without governance. Whether you're organizing a small group retreat or a community garden, clarity in roles, conflict resolution mechanisms, and, shared ritual or purpose really matter. Caral invested in ceremonial spaces, reinforcing collective identity. Survival without cohesion fragments quickly. Caral did not remain static. Archaeological layers indicate periods of expansion and decline, possibly tied to climate fluctuations. When river patterns shifted or floods occurred, settlements adjusted. Some sites were abandoned, others were modified. This adaptability is central. Desert survival is not about freezing a system in place. It is about monitoring environmental feedback and recalibrating. In practical terms today, that means tracking rainfall patterns, groundwater levels, soil salinity, and adjusting crop choices or water storage accordingly. Caral's longevity suggests leaders were attentive to environmental signals rather than locked into tradition. Material culture at Caral shows, extensive use of locally available stone, reed bags filled with rocks for seismic stabilization, and organic materials. The use of shikra bags, woven containers filled with stones within pyramidal construction, may have helped absorb seismic shock in an earthquake-prone region. That is elegant engineering under constraint. No steel reinforcements, yet a structural strategy that acknowledges geological risk. For modern builders in seismic or harsh climates, the principle is designing with local materials and known environmental pressures in mind. Reinforcement does not have to mean imported complexity. It means, understanding the forces acting on your structure. What distinguishes Caral is not a single technological breakthrough. It's really the integration of water management, agriculture, trade, social organization, and environmental awareness into a coherent system. Remove one piece and, the structure weakens. Maintain the system and it thrives for centuries. For serious historians and survival enthusiasts, Caral is a reminder that civilization did not emerge only in fertile river deltas like the Nile or Mesopotamia. It also arose in marginal zones where precision and coordination were, absolutely mandatory. Scarcity can really sharpen innovation. If you were to apply Caral's lessons directly, you would begin by auditing your own environment. Identify your water sources and their variability. Build gravity-fed or passive systems where possible. Diversify food inputs. Strengthen community structures. Use local materials intelligently. And, of course, monitor environmental change continuously. Caral's cities eventually declined, likely due to climatic shifts that altered river behavior. No system is permanent, but endurance over many centuries in extreme aridity is not accidental. It is engineered through foresight and disciplined adaptation. If you value this kind of deep, practical historical analysis, subscribe to Iron Age Instincts and share this with others who take ancient resilience seriously. The past is not nostalgia. It is a survival manual written in stone and sand.